Hello Year 5 and welcome back to Lesson 4. Lesson 4 is also a two-part lesson, so I expect you to spend approximately 2 hours on this work. 1 hour for the first part and 1 hour for the second part. For today's lesson you'll be needing paper, blank sheet of paper. If you've got a sketchbook, that's fabulous, as the paper is the slightly better quality and will make your drawing easier. A pencil, a ruler, and as I said, an A4 page. So let's move on to what we will be doing today. We're going to be recreating an artwork using colour and shape. And the artist we are going to be looking at is an artist I asked you to have a look at when you were doing your mind maps a few weeks ago, and that was Hundertwasser. So today we're all going to be creating a simple, over the next 2 weeks, study of Hundertwasser's work. Some of you are going to be adding a little bit more detail. All of you have hopefully improved your planning skills, so you're going to be showing me how you use those skills within your work. And some of you are going to try and challenge yourself a little bit more by selecting a Hundertwasser image which is harder, which has more detail, and you're going to recreate that accurately. So our focus words for today: shape, proportion, planning grid, background and foreground. And you'll hear me use these words throughout the lesson. Here's some examples of some work which other students did. We're not going to be adding colour today. As I said, we're only going to be using pencil, but by the end of next week this is how some of your work should look. Now, who was Hundertwasser? He's behind me. Let me reveal him to you. Hundertwasser, he was an Austrian-born New Zealand artist. He was also an architect, and he worked in the field of environmental protection. I'm not sure if you know what the word environmental protection means. Have a little think about it, but that's how he believed strongly in protecting the environment, looking after the environment. His full name, now this is going to be a bit of a challenge for me, is Vredensrach Rechentag Dunkelbunt Hundertwasser. Maybe you can give that a try, bit of a tongue twister. And he was born on the 15th of December, same day as my little girl, 1928, and he died on February the 19th, 2000, the day after my birthday. So he is no longer alive. Hundertwasser, are 3 buildings which were designed by Hundertwasser, and I want you just to take a moment. You're going to stop the video and you're going to make a list of similarities and differences. What are the similarities between these buildings and what are the differences? Can you put at least 3 similarities and differences on your list? Go for it. Fabulous. Yes, keep going. Great. Back to me. So hopefully you paused the video and you looked at the similarities and differences between these 3 buildings. So looking at the 3 buildings, some of you might have said colour, they're very colourful. Some of you might have noticed the use of geometric shape and shape. Some of you might have said that they're all functional, they're all buildings that have a function. That's fantastic. Others might have said his use of line. That's also very good. So just noticing some of the similarities and the differences. Differences, some of you might have said that this building involves more oval shapes, more sphere shapes. It's less geometric, less square than the other 2 images that I provided. Some of you might have looked really carefully at the details and noticed some of the mosaic work, the tiling work on these 2 buildings, and I actually think there's some mosaic work dividing up the second building as well. So fantastic. If you notice 3 similarities and differences, well done to you. Now, today we're going to look at 2 types of grid. Last week we used a 4-part grid, as you can see on this image. This week I'm going to let you decide. Are you going to use a 4-part grid or a 6-part grid? Why do we use different size grids? Why do you think we use different size grids? I want you to have a little think about that question. Once again, 4-part grid, 6-part grid, 4-part grid, 6-part grid. Hopefully that's given you a little time to think. So the 6-part grid is just going to support you with your proportions. So if you really do struggle with those proportions and you're aiming to make your work more precise, then perhaps today decide and select a 6-part grid. Also just depends on which image you select. We're just going to go back to this page. We've looked at the similarities and differences between the buildings, and now I want you to think about which one of these images would be the easiest to draw and which one of these images would be the hardest to draw. You're going to base your selection on your skills. So if you found that when you were drawing the local buildings that you were very good at your proportion and your size and you chose a complicated drawing and you were able to achieve that within the time limit, then go for perhaps one of the more difficult buildings. If you found actually you were running out of time and you were struggling to get the proportions right, then go for perhaps the first building, the first one of these images. Okay, so I've put them in order actually, probably giving you a bit of clue here, from easiest to hardest. Easy, middle, hard. And as you can see, that's based on shape and also the amount of background space. Those are words I put in our keywords. So this image has no background, this image has a small area of background, and this image has a larger area of background. So when it comes to adding colour, the third one is going to be more challenging as well, because I'm going to ask you to add pattern to the background. So first, second, third. Think about how much time you want to spend on this work as well. If you don't have a lot of time to spend on it, perhaps choose picture number 1. If you have more time, choose picture number 3. So for purposes of explaining this to you, I'm going to use picture number 1. So I've selected an image based on my skills. I'm going to draw a grid. I'm going to use a 6-part grid today. And then I'm going to go on to using basic shapes to faintly, lightly sketch out the outlines. And I'm going to add all my main details. I'm going to do all my pencil work today. I'm not going to add any colour today. Stop there. I'm just going to add all my pencil detail. And my main star challenge for you today is to make accurate observations. So now I'm going to model those steps to you. Decided on my image. Using faint construction lines, I'm going to draw a 6-part grid. I'm going to use my whole page, and I'm going to model how I'm going to draw that image for you today. So we're going to now swap over, this is always a little bit tricky, to my don't know why it's decided not to be happy. There we go, it's connecting. While I'm doing this, you can get your ruler ready. You can decide whether you're using a 6-part grid or a 4-part grid. Now, I've actually got my page landscape today, just so that it's easier for you to see, because I couldn't seem to fit it on the screen when it was portrait. If you're deciding, oh, it's died again. Let's see, why is it dying? Why is our connection not very good? It's a bit of a pain. There we go. Sorry about that. So I've got it landscaped today. There we go. And if you measure across the page, it's approximately 30. So if you're going to divide this into a 6-part grid, you're going to mark off 10, 20. You're going to rule the line across. Remember, nice faint construction lines. There we go. And then you're going to rule a line down the centre of your page, which is approximately 10 and a half on my page. Rule a line down the centre of my page. And there I have my 6-part grid, which is my good starting point, which is fabulous. Once you've got your starting point, you are ready to draw. Now I've just popped that up in the corner so I can actually see what I'm doing. And it's not too easy for me to actually see what I'm doing. Let's see if I can do it with the 6 plant grid. You might want to actually just, I've added these pictures of these buildings to the attachment, so when you are drawing, if you have these pictures in front of you, it will make it a lot easier for you. When you are drawing, and I'm going to talk you through this, it's a little bit hard for me to model this using the visualizer at the same time. I want you to be focusing on those points. So, okay, how big is this window? It's not right at the top of the page. It's not at the bottom of the first third. Whereabouts is it? Oh, it's about halfway. So you're going to mark those points, draw in the shape. Oh, this window, is it the same size? No, it's a different size. Mark those points, draw in the window. This line, this curve, where does it start? Is it halfway across? No, it's not quite halfway. Mark in the points, draw the line. Remember, Mrs. Schofield always shows you to pick those marker points, markers, and then draw the line. So is that about the right size? Pick your markers and then draw your lines. All the time you are putting your markers and drawing the lines. I'm going to give that a little bit of go. I want you to give that a go as well. And when your final image has got all the details, it's got the windows, it's got the line work, it's got the little decorative detail above the window, it's got these lines, it's got this, it's got the tile work, every single bit of grey detail. Okay, you can stop for today because you need this, all this detail ready to add colour to next week. When you've done that to your image, feel free to upload it so I can give you some feedback. I have been giving you individual feedback, so do keep an eye on that. And today, to know that you've been successful, you can have a little look through some of these questions. Were you able to recognise similarities and difference in Hundertwasser's work? Hopefully, tick to you. Did you choose an appropriate image? So have you chosen an image that you were able to do justice to, that you were able to refine shapes, that you were able to produce an accurate drawing of? Be able to use a ruler to draw a grid. If you needed support, that's fine. If you needed to ask an adult, that's fine. But you've given that drawing a grid a go and you've used your faint construction lines. Did you observe the original image? So we're not making this up. Did you actually keep the original image on your screen or print it out and use it? Did you use faint construction lines? This is MB important, not dark lines. Faint construction lines. Have you used basic shapes to help you? Have you added all the possible detail that you can add? And were you able to start challenge to make accurate observations? If you were at school, you need to keep this picture with you. Take it home, take a photograph, upload it. If you're at home, you need to keep it in a safe place for next week when we add colour. Next week, you will be needing some coloured pencils or felt tips. So if you don't have those at school, if you don't have those at home, see if you can borrow some for next week so that you're ready for next week's lesson. Look after yourselves, missing you loads, and looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.